everyone, Krista Moser here. Today I'm going to show you my champagne and pearls pattern. This is champagne and pearls, and it's all done with strip sets. It's actually deceptively easy once you get into it. I know it looks complicated with its detail, but you'll be surprised. What I've got here is a strip set of 6 different colors, light to dark, and I've just sewn them together, staggering the ends. Now, if you've seen some of my previous videos, you saw how I do that step. It's very helpful for not wasting fabric. I'm going to use the large 60-degree diamond ruler. This is the Creative Grids ruler that I designed. And you just do a bunch of strip sets like this in all your colorways, and then you get to just cut them into blocks. So I'm going to turn this around, my fresh cut end here, and I'm just going to line the ruler up, following the diamond lines. Now the diamond lines are the solid lines coming down from the tip. This ruler will cut from 1.5 inch diamonds up to 8.5 inch diamonds. So we're going to follow the 6.5 inch diamond line here. I'm just going to use the top of the ruler to line up along the strip set. The 6.5 inch line here down my fresh cut and across the end. And then I'm just going to trim. So that is one star point. I'm going to keep doing that all the way down my strip. Let's see. Get a few more like this. That'll do it. Just for now. Now the background is 3 strips. Here I have a very light gray and my shimmery gold. They're all sewn together. I did a similar thing by staggering the ends before piecing. And now I'm going to use the triangle lines on the ruler. So this, we're going to turn the ruler into the strip, the nose into the strip like this. The dashed triangle lines come across the ruler this way. So here we have the 6.5 inch line and the flat tip. And I need to do a cleanup cut, so I am just going to trim back that way. Alright, there's one. I'm going to turn the ruler, again with the 6.5 inch line and the flat tip. Get a few cuts like this. And okay, that'll get us a good start. Alright, so what I'm going to do here, I have taken and pressed both of my seams one direction. When I pieced the strip, you'll see here, both of those seams were pressed one way. What that gets me, once it's cut apart, these two, their seams will be going, in this case, down towards the base of the block. And these two, set them like this so you can see, their seams will be going up towards the tip. So we're going to keep those in separate stacks. One stack this way, one stack that way. That will become important later when we get to the pressing, because you want your seams to nest, and this will make it effortless. I think we'll go ahead and cut a couple more here. Okay, set this aside. Alright, I'll set that aside. Looking for the seam direction. Okay, I'm going to take my start points and put them in a stack. In this case, I'm going to put them in a stack where the darkest shade is out away from me and the lightest shade is towards me. And then I'm going to take my stacks of triangles and put them on either side here. Keeping the same stack on the right side with the seams in this case going out, and the stack on the left side, the seams are going in. And here that's what we do. So this seam first, so I'm going to take this one and this one, and we'll put them together, match up my point, and I'll have a little dog ear on the end here. Sew that seam and press it in towards the star point. And then sew this one on. This one, the seam will be pressed out towards the triangle. What that will do when we go for final assembly, it will mean that these two will interlock and nest the whole way around, because this is half of a star. You see that? Pretty nice, simple, huh? So when we've got all our seams sewn, and you want these seams, when they hit each other, to be nesting, and they will. I've actually got some sewn, and I'm going to pull these aside so you can see. Alright, here's the back. I sewed the first seam here, pressed it in towards the block. I sewed the second one on and pressed it out. And I did that to all three of these for half of my star. Turn this over. Now what you'll see, all of these intersections nest because they flip-flop. These intersections nest. So when you go to actually sew these two together, you have this perfect matchup. You don't need to use pins, or very few pins. And you'll have a really, really nice finish. And then we're going to press that seam open. You'll notice that the strip set that I cut earlier, I had pressed all my seams open. I tend to do that, and I've talked about it in other videos. I tend to do that on strip sets because it tends to make your strip sets really flat, and so your ruler doesn't rock around. And the other thing too is multiple seams will eat up a lot of extra fabric, and you can get pressing errors, little folds of fabric, little bubbles. What will happen is as you're pressing them out, if you're just pressing them to one side, you might end up with just a thread or two worth of fabric just folded in there. If you press your seams open, it tends to expand your strip set and really give it the flattest, most accurate finish. It's not ideal for everything, but for this, it really works. So here is half the block, like this. Now, there's no high seams in this whole quilt. You'll see that once I've sewn these two seams, see how it's starting to create that hexagon unit of the background? When you do the next block and the next block and the next row, this will create a hexagon in the background. So you don't see it right away, but as you start to form your pieces, it all comes together. And these pieces are really pretty large, so it's actually a pretty fast quilt to put together. I've got that all sewn here. That's half of a star. So this will go to the other side of that one. You're not going to sew these two together. They actually become part of two different rows. So here's what I'm going to do. This one, half of the star, and then a red star. And it goes the other way. So this red star will finish out here. Green star will finish here, then we'll get a gray star. You see how these hexagons are starting to come together, and the whole thing just goes together in rows, top to bottom. So the row goes from here to here. You get your half star here, half star there, and it goes on down. So there are rows, just like that. No Y seams at all. It's the fastest, most accurate way to get a very cool looking quilt without a lot of effort, really. Okay, one thing I wanted to show you is an even faster way to do it. I sewed 6 strips together to make these blocks, which is the way the pattern is written, and what I just showed you. And I did another example where I just sewed 3 strips together. So if you're a beginner or you're just kind of getting into this, you can do the same process with the same size, the same fabric requirements. You just cut your strips wider. So here, I just did 3 strips, light, medium, and dark. And then you're going to use the ruler and cut. Same thing, 6.5 inch diamond. So it doesn't change the overall dimensions at all. It just means a little bit simpler piecing. If you're a beginner, this is what I would start with. Simpler piecing, less strips, less room for mistakes, and actually a much faster quilt. So even if you're not a beginner and you just want to get it done faster, this might be the way to do it. And here is the way that quilt looks. So you see, it's a little bit, you know, less dramatic in the stars, but still a great look. Let me see if I can hold it over the table and you can really get a good look at it. Here it is. Now I've done this one with a white background and my shimmery gold, and then I just took that very same bunch of fabric and I split it into 3s instead of 6s. So I've got some green stars here with just 3 colors, reds, grays, kind of the same same palette. Was going for a kind of a Christmas palette with this, and then of course the white background, and it worked out pretty good for that. If Christmas fabric isn't your thing, I have even another example. This one is a very sweet, soft, very girly, turquoise and peach and gray, and I used just a cream background with a darker cream as my accent strip. So you can see the possibilities for this quilt. It lends itself to some really cool combinations, and you can do just about anything with it. Now this is back to the 6 different colors in 1 star version, but the possibilities are endless. Very, very cool. Okay, so last thing, we have fabric bundles. We don't do this for everything, but it's kind of fun to do when we can. So if you like the Christmas version and you want to do a fabric selection just like that, we've got fabric bundles where we've included 6 different grays, the ones that I used, 6 different greens, 6 different reds, the gold shimmery, and then a gray background or a white background. So you get to choose. We'll put both of them in the shop, either a gray or a white. This one back here I used the gray, this one here I used the white, so you can kind of see what your flavor is. And then what else we're going to do is the simpler version, 3-strip version. We're going to do a PDF, just a printable for that. We'll attach it to the pattern. If you buy a PDF pattern at KristaMoser.com, if you buy a printed pattern at KristaMoser.com, we'll be sure to include a printed version of just the strips you'll need to cut for the simpler version, and the layout. I think we'll do the layout too. So you'll have the color variation and the simpler if you're kind of a beginner, like I said. That'd be a good way to go. So we'll make sure we take care of you. All right. I hope you saw something interesting and fun here. Thanks for watching.